Bill Weld is back, and he's schmoozing the LP. Let's not forget how toxic this statist really is. What's in the news with stories on an 800% tax increase, government-forced indoctrination, communism is bad, speech stopped in preschool, and a cop trolling for dates. Finally, an Ask Me Anything segment where I answer a couple of your burning questions. This episode is brought to you by ZenCash, a cryptocurrency that infuses privacy, anonymity, and security done right. Also brought to you by NordVPN, the fastest, easiest to use service to protect your online presence that I've ever seen, and I use it every single day.
Welcome to The Lava Flow, channeling the flow of information to the libertarian, anarcho-capitalist, voluntarist, and agorist community. Find us at thelavaflow.com. Here's your host, Roger Paxton.
Thank you for joining me this week. From the state where the very first medical x-ray in history was performed in Dartmouth in 1896, this is the show that will bring you the people, places, and events that everyone in the Liberty Rebellion needs to know. You can catch me on Twitter at the Lava Flow Pod. This is episode 89. Bill Weld is back. And it's Friday, April 27th, 2018, when there have already been more than 395 people killed by police this year. And the United States debt clock shows us at $21,151,600 million in debt. What's wrestling my jimmies this week? You're about to find out. Let's do it to it. At the end of the 2016 campaign, I made a prediction. I said that Bill Weld would be back to run for president for the Libertarian Party. Well, he's certainly giving every indication that he is, and that is just further proof that the Libertarian Party is a disaster and irrelevant. Not because Bill Weld is running, mind you, but the fact that powerful, prominent members of the LP are all over him, slobbing on his knob like he's the great savior of the party. Some of these people are people that I had a modicum of respect for. Well, one way to quickly lose any respect that I have for you is to say you're a libertarian and yet support a statist in libertarian clothing like Bill Weld. In case you've forgotten why Bill Weld is such a bad candidate for the Libertarian Party, you can go back and listen to several of my episodes in late 2016 where I detail this, step by step. However, a quick refresher is that he is a gun control-loving, eminent domain-using, Obamacare mandate-supporting, Libertarian Party of New York screwing, Hillary Clinton-endorsing, tax-loving liberal Republican who gave a monetary donation to the New Hampshire GOP gubernatorial candidate after the LP gubernatorial candidate was already on the ballot in 2016 and after he was an LP candidate for vice president. That pretty much sums it up. Weld was at the Libertarian Party of Texas convention in the last few days and was working the crowds and trying to gin up support, of course. While Weld has not officially made an announcement that he will be seeking that nomination, it's pretty clear that this is the OG Libertarian's intention. He started a new organization called Freedom for America, where he's encouraging his followers to donate. It's very similar to what Gary Johnson did after the 2012 race. The entire purpose of this organization appears to be nothing more than promoting Weld, as the homepage for this organization has a huge section titled About Governor Bill Weld on the main homepage. That's basically the only information on the entire site, aside from an issues page that outlines the issues that Weld stands for. Clearly, this is the beginning of his run for that nomination. Interestingly, Adam Kokesh, who was also seeking the LP presidential nomination, did an ambush-style interview with Weld while he was sitting at a bar during the LP Texas convention. Now, while I don't support anyone seeking office to rule over me, at least Adam claims to be running for president to do only one thing: completely shut down the federal government. Now look, I've got issues with Adam that I'm not going to get into here, but I have to say, he nailed Weld to the fucking wall in this interview. Now, I'm going to play all 4 minutes of this interview for you because it's too priceless not to. Then I'm going to talk about some pieces of it after. Check this shit out.
Mr. Weld, good afternoon. Adam Kokesh, how you doing?
Yeah, nice to
Reza,
meet you,
hey.
sir.
Well, I had a question. Excellent. A lot of people in the Libertarian Party are wondering, how much did Hillary Clinton pay you off to support her in the last presidential cycle?
I've seen some Hillary blue ribbons on this this convention here. So her machine must still be strong. People have been holding them up in front of me.
Well, do you understand that a lot of people who believe in the message of libertarianism have a problem with someone who advocates for so much contrary to our principles trying to be part of the party like yourself?
Well, I don't think that's right, actually. I've been a libertarian since I was in school, starting with John Stuart Mill, going on through Friedrich Hayek in law school.
What does it mean to you to be a libertarian?
It means that the individual is paramount and that the duty of government is to govern as little as possible, tax as little as possible.
So taxation isn't theft? You want some taxation?
Taxation is theft. That was my motto in 2016. In fact, listen to this. So I like to quote the French anarchist Proudhon, who said that property is theft, as you may know. And I turned that around and said, no, it's not property that's theft, it's coercive taxation that's theft, which goes to prove that even anarchists aren't always right.
So would you rescind what you said about Hillary Clinton as vouching for her in the 2016 election?
I said vouch, not endorse, and I did pick that word on purpose because everyone in the world was saying this is the worst person that ever climbed out of a sewer, and I don't believe that that's true. So I wanted to give her personal vouching since no one else was.
So do you oppose the initiation of force to achieve political and social goals?
Yeah, I would say my motto is that a well-functioning government is one in which the individual can never be thrust in a corner. And I've said that since my first term as governor. And that pretty much squares with the libertarian philosophy, in my view.
So what do you think the proper role of government is?
To govern as little as possible, to restrain men from injuring.
What is as little as possible?
Well, that...
What are the appropriate roles for government that you think are good for government to do?
National defense, providing for the common safety. But for example, I would abolish the United States Department of Education tomorrow.
How would you pay for national defense? Would you tax people to pay for it?
Yeah, no, I'm not saying you can't have any taxation whatsoever. I do believe...
So you would steal from people because you want national defense?
Well, I think we've gone on long enough. But anyway, it's good to see you, sir.
Well, I admire your ability to take hard questions, but I cannot say the same for your lack of principles. You're vouching for Hillary Clinton and what is obviously an infiltration of the Libertarian Party, trying to represent this party with principles that obviously don't align with ours. And I hope someday that you'll actually take a good look at your conscience and see that the non-aggression principle that is the core principle of this party is something that is fundamentally based in ethics, and that what you advocate for when you say that you want a national defense not only flies against what the founders of this country advocated, but these basic ethical principles. And that if you really want to be welcome, and I've, right.
What about Semper Fi?
Yeah.
What about celebrating November 10th?
Hey, some of us learn the hard way, but just because we were in the Marine Corps doesn't mean we never learn. Now, you were a governor, you were a prosecutor, and I know you've come some way, but I would hope that you would take, yes, this final step in evolution and realize that what people are advocating for in the Libertarian Party and why so many of us see that you're an infiltrator is that you have advocated for a number of policies that go against libertarian principles, and that we entrusted you with the nomination for vice president in 2016, and you stomped on the party's heart and soul when you went and you vouched for Hillary Clinton.
Well, I look forward to coming to your session tomorrow, and I'll listen hard and take notes.
Well, I appreciate that. I hope you learned something, sir.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Man, I just love this shit. I have got to give Adam some kudos for this one for sure. If you notice in this interview, Weld tries to make the case that he's still the OG libertarian, going back to college days. I call bullshit, especially since he's a classic New England liberal statist. Don't forget, Weld endorsed Barack Obama, for Christ's sake. That should tell you enough about his OG libertarian bona fides. Then he goes on to say that taxation is theft, and then shows his ignorance of anarchism by quoting the anarcho-communist philosopher Proudhon and equating that to libertarian anarchism. Come on. Even worse than that, while in one sentence he says taxation is theft, a few sentences later he literally says, I'm not saying you can't have any taxation whatsoever. So like the typical statist that he is, he supports theft and violence for his pet project, in this case, national defense. Now, this reminds me of an argument I had just this week on our supporters-only League of Liberty podcast with Mark Claire, Johnny Adams, and Chris Spangle, where one of these gentlemen made the case that some taxation is okay. Well, you can imagine how that went over for me. Now, I'm not giving any names, but trust me, this is a League of Liberty episode you can't miss. Go to thelavaflow.com/support and become a supporter of the show today to get access to this episode today. And while you're there, you get access to all of the other League of Liberty and all of my other bonus content as well. Now, I love how Adam Kokesh called Bill Weld out on his bullshit here, just like I did in the League of Liberty episodes. And you guys know that I give no more fucks about the Libertarian Party, but I also know there are many listeners of my show who still do. Now, I'm not telling you to leave the party, even though I did. But if you're going to work in the party, please protect it as much as possible from asshat statists like Bill Weld. But you can bet I'll be keeping an eye on Weld just like I did in 2016, and I'll let you all know every time he shows his true stripes. Because you know he will. And often. Fuck Bill Weld in the neck.
Have you subscribed to the Lava Flow on iTunes or any mobile device yet? Then what's wrong with you? Go to thelavaflow.com/subscribe so you don't miss a minute of the show. And while you're subscribing, make sure to leave me a 5-star rating and review the show to help others find our podcast. thelavaflow.com/subscribe.
It's time to shake up your podcast feed, folks, by subscribing to Lions of Liberty, the only libertarian variety show out there. Spend Mondays with me, Mark Claire, as I feature in-depth interviews with great names in the libertarian community and fun roundtable discussions.
Electric Liberty Land with me, Brian McWilliams, every Wednesday, your weekly dose of comedy, culture, and liberty.
And Felony Fridays with me, John Odermatt, where I expose injustice in the broken criminal justice system.
Find us on iTunes, Stitcher, and at lionsofliberty.com.
What's in the news? The news you need to know from a libertarian perspective.
In Taxation is Theft news, a city in Maryland raised the property tax on businesses by 800% in a bid to attract more businesses. How backwards can you be? Here's a good rule of thumb. If you want more of something, don't tax the shit out of it. This principle appears to have eluded the town of Seat Pleasant, Maryland, which jacked up 5 businesses' property taxes by 800% as part of a scheme to attract more businesses to the community. Now, 2 of the targeted companies are suing, claiming the small suburb located just outside of D.C. violated everything from their own charter to the U.S. Constitution when it imposed the tax. Stephen Franco, who owns and operates the Discount Mart, saw his property taxes shoot up from less than $6,000 to over $55,000 in less than a year. This, he said, has had an extremely adverse impact, you think, on his business. People's schedules have been cut. Profits have been almost depleted. One guy had to get laid off. Other plaintiffs in the lawsuit include married couple Si-Kwan Chen and Chang Lin Chen, who own a Chinese restaurant next to Franco's store. Their property tax bill went up from $3,482 to $31,180 in a year. In May 2017, the Seat Pleasant Council passed a yearly budget that included a special assessment to fund a, quote, special revitalization district for businesses. The tax was supposed to bring in about $252,000 a year, which would be used to spur economic development and develop a stronger financial portfolio for the city. According to Seat Pleasant's charter, a special assessment like this one levied on Franco and the Chins must be spent on specific improvements to the targeted taxpayers' properties, for example, by adding a sidewalk or a sewer main. The city must also hold a public hearing on the assessment and give affected property owners a chance to appeal. But the budget document makes it clear that the assessment is intended to benefit the entire town. Meanwhile, the lawsuit alleges that Franco and the Chins received neither a public hearing nor a chance to appeal. The suit also claims that the tax violates the Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, which prohibits taking property without due process of law. In essence, their argument is simple. Taxation is theft. But my question is, if this new tax level is theft and taking a property without due process, how is the smaller amount not the exact same fucking thing? It is the same thing, just differing levels of the same thing. A $1 tax is still a tax, and taxation is always theft. In Government Indoctrination Center's news, California is about to implement new abortion and homosexuality promoting sexual education lessons and one school district has told parents they have no choice but to expose their children to them. California enacted the California Healthy Youth Act in 2015, but only now are its controversial provisions starting to take effect in classrooms. Under the auspices of health, the law says it will equip students to develop healthy attitudes on gender and sexual orientation, among other things. It also says it will inform students about the effectiveness and safety of all FDA-approved contraceptive methods and facilitate objective discussion about parenting, adoption, and abortion. This toolkit, funded in part by George Soros-connected Tidesetter, offers kids tips on using sex toys and anal lubricant. It defines anal intercourse, phone sex, and more as common sexual behaviors. It teaches that abstinence and virginity can mean engaging in a variety of sexual activities, but stopping short of intercourse. The guide asks on page C51, what if you don't have time or money to buy sex toys? Well, cucumbers, carrots, and bananas with the peel make great dildos. Just remember to use a condom. It teaches that one of the cons of abstaining from all sexual activity is that it requires motivation, self-control, and communication from both partners. I don't know about you, but it only takes me to decide if I'm abstaining. The toolkit lists as resources Planned Parenthood and the radically pro-homosexual and pro-abortion group Advocates for Youth. Davis notes that the California Healthy Youth Act expressly protects parents' rights to excuse their children from participation in sex education courses without penalty of any kind, because parents and guardians have the ultimate responsibility for imparting values regarding human sexuality to their children. But the Orange County School District apparently interprets this a bit differently. In a memo dated March 29th to the Orange County Board of Education, Orange County Department of Education General Counsel Ronald Wincart says that the law's opt-out provision does not apply to instruction, materials, or programming that discusses gender, gender identity, gender expression, sexual orientation, discrimination, harassment, bullying, intimidation, relationships, or family, and does not discuss human reproductive organs. Parents who disagree with the state's positions on these issues may not excuse their children from this instruction, Wincart continues. He then suggests that parents still having the right to advise the children that they disagree with such lessons compensates for this restriction. He also cites judicial precedent to claim that parents do not have a constitutional right to excuse their children from portions of the school curriculum that they find objectionable. Do I even have to fucking say it? Get your kids out of government indoctrination centers. Look, while I may not disagree with a lot of the items in this education, I do disagree with some, and there are going to be parents out there that disagree with a lot of it. Hell, many of the things in this list, my wife and I already talked to our children about. The ones that are age appropriate for them anyway. However, for the school district, to say that a parent has no right to direct the education of their own children is just a disgusting abuse of power and a bastardization of rights. But keep sending your kids to these indoctrination centers. Just don't be surprised when they come home statists. One cryptocurrency project that I'm most excited about right now is ZenCash, with privacy, anonymity, and security done right. You can read all about ZenCash at thelavaflow.com/zen. Now look, I've read a ton of white papers on crypto, and this is the first one I've read that mentioned voluntary and voluntarist not once but 7 times. These are our people, and they are on the right track to mix great technology, excellent marketing, and awesome uses for their product. These guys get it, and they understand what crypto is all about. Now, this is a project, guys, that I believe in 100%. So much so that I have staked some of my own Zen to run a secure node on their network. So don't miss out on checking out this awesome project at thelavaflow.com/zen. In no shit Sherlock news, living under communism makes countries poorer and less healthy for decades, according to a landmark new study. Researchers testing historical connections between cultures found that whether a country has been under communism was the biggest factor for those with lower health, income, and educational levels. In the first undertaking of its kind, they analyzed the fortunes of 44 countries across Europe and Asia and looked at geography, religion, systems of government, and a more intangible quality called deep cultural ancestry. Most of the issues they looked at appeared to have little or no effect on the disparities between the countries, except for Islamic countries scoring a little worse on education. Instead, the single strongest predictor for a country's health and the second strongest for its wealth turned out to be whether its rulers had embraced communism. The study said that after World War II, economic growth in communist Eastern Europe was slower than in the West. But despite the Soviet Union's collapse almost 30 years ago, the effects are still being felt today. The study says that communism was also behind the stagnation of life expectancy behind the Iron Curtain during the 70s and 80s, which has set those countries back even today. The researchers say, quote, "The proximate causes for this low life expectancy are complex, but high alcohol consumption, smoking, and poor workplace safety, as well as low-quality diet and living conditions associated with lower income levels are implicated." I mean, how is this even news, really? First of all, this is just pure, simple logic. Secondly, many economists, mainly those who are more liberty-minded, such as Austrian School of Economics, have been saying this for a very long time. And not just saying it without evidence, they've been saying it with massive amounts of evidence. I'm glad to see that, yet again, mainstream thought is finally catching up to Austrian economics theory. In more government indoctrination-centered news, students attending Pentucket Workshop Preschool in Georgetown, Mass. Are not allowed to call each other best friends. One child's mother, Christine Hartwell, told WBZ-TV, she said, "You know, so-and-so, you're my best buddy." The teacher told her that she couldn't say that there in school. I think it's ridiculous. Children who are 4 years old speak from their heart, so they should be able to call kids anything that's loving. You're my best friend. You're my best pal. The school explained to Hartwell that the term best friend can lead other children to feel excluded, and it can ultimately lead to the formation of cliques and outsiders, and the school encourages students to have a wider group of friends. Hartwell says Julia still says best friend at home, but her daughter seems unsure if the term is appropriate, since she was told not to use the term at school. She said, even now she goes to say it in a loving way. I'm going to go see my best friend Charlie, or this one or that one. And she looks at me sideways as she's saying it, and she's checking in with me to make sure that that language is okay. Hartwell says her daughter will not be going to school the rest of the year. Pentucket Workshop Preschool has not responded to anybody for a request of comment. So I could find no evidence that this school is a public preschool en masse. I did find a partial list of public preschools in the state, and this school was not on that list, but it doesn't really matter. I'd be willing to bet good money that they receive some funding or subsidies from some level of government. Either way, though, let's keep in mind that it's not just governments who want to indoctrinate your children. Corporations try it with commercials. Game companies do it with some characters in their games. Religions try to do it with fear, and on and on and on. This is why the parent-child relationship is so important. Teach your kids, nurture your kids, but best yet, love your kids. And never forget that they're just that, kids, and they need to enjoy being a kid first.
Are you looking for a way to protect your online presence quickly, easily, and inexpensively while still surfing the net with high speed? Well, NordVPN is the best way that I've ever found to do just that. With over 2,500 servers worldwide, they cover every continent except Antarctica. But, as they say, that's only because penguins just don't get the internet. They also offer double data encryption, which encrypts data not once, but twice. And they never log what you do and where you go on the internet. Also, NordVPN is fast, the fastest VPN service that I've ever used. They have apps for Windows, Mac, iOS, and Android, so you can protect all of your traffic from all of your devices with NordVPN. Starting as low as $3.29 per month, they're also inexpensive, and they take Bitcoin too. With NordVPN, you can securely access any website from anywhere around the world, safely share files via P2P networks, and enjoy the fastest VPN experience without compromising your online security and privacy. Get signed up for the VPN service that I personally use every time I hit the internet at thelavaflow.com/VPN. Again, that's thelavaflow.com/VPN. In an abuse of authority news, New York State Trooper Eric Richardson reportedly threatened female motorists with tickets and arrest until they agreed to go out with him. I kid you not. On multiple occasions, the 32-year-old officer pulled over women for traffic violations, according to the indictment. The love-struck lawman allegedly threatened the women with jail time and fines unless they handed over their phone numbers to him. Richardson then reportedly badgered the women over text in an attempt to start an intimate relationship.
Richardson has now been hit with 6 charges stemming from these stops, including official misconduct, criminal coercion, and falsifying or tampering with records. If convicted, Richardson could face up to 33 years in prison and a $350,000 fine. New Jersey Attorney General Gerber S. Grewal, in a statement on the charges, said, "Police are given great authority and are rightly held to the highest standards of integrity. When officers abuse their authority, as alleged in this case, they must be held accountable." Richardson's first attempt at roadside romance reportedly came in November 2016 when he allegedly pulled over a woman for having illegally tinted windows and expired registration. According to the indictment, Richardson attempted to win favor with the woman by not towing the vehicle and letting her drive away. Richardson then allegedly followed her and, after realizing the nice guy strategy wasn't working, pulled her over a second time, demanding her phone number and refusing to listen to the woman's protestations that she was already in a relationship. The trooper allegedly proceeded to text her multiple times over the coming months and, after receiving no response, pulled the woman over again in January 2017 to ensure that she was, in fact, getting his messages. I think the issue here is that he wasn't getting her messages. Undeterred by the first unsuccessful courtship, Richardson reportedly pulled over a second motorist in Gloucester Township in December 2016. Getting a little kinky, Richardson allegedly pulled out his handcuffs and threatened to arrest the second woman, who had a suspended license and an active arrest warrant out for her unless she handed over her phone number. With both women, the indictment said Richardson filed false reports about the traffic stop, saying alternatively that he was stopping to aid a motorist, and in the final case, that he had pulled over a male motorist. What a fucking creep, using his position of authority and the force of his badge and gun to try to coerce women into a situation they did not want to be in. Sadly, the fact that he's being charged is the only rare part of this situation. While I applaud it, I want more police departments to more evenly apply the laws that they use against us, against their own. But we have an ever-widening thin blue line that we have to contend with. In some show news, it's contest time. Now, I haven't run a contest in quite some time, so it's about time to do that, I think. And since the second audiobook that I narrated is now available on Audible, I'll be giving away some codes for free copies of that audiobook. The book is Neither Bullets Nor Ballots, Essays on Voluntarism by Carl Watner, Wendy McElroy, and George H. Smith. You can purchase a copy now at thelavaflow.com/nbnbaudio. Now, I'm giving away a bunch of these audiobooks for free, and there are a few different ways that you can get your copy today. First, if you're a current supporter of the show, I will send you a free code to get this book if you upgrade your support of the show by at least $1 per episode by June 1st. Now, this is not a drawing or anything. If you upgrade your support by $1, you get the book. That's simple. Secondly, if you're not a supporter of the show, but you're considering it, if you become a supporter of at least $1 per episode prior to June 1st, then you also get a free copy of this audiobook. Again, no drawing. Simple. You become a supporter, you get a free book. So, to either upgrade your support or begin your new support, go to thelavaflow.com/support now, and you'll get your free book. Thirdly, though, if you want to enter a drawing to win one of 5 codes for this free book, this is easy as well and won't cost you a penny. All you have to do is leave the show a review on Apple Podcasts at thelavaflow.com/Apple. Then send me an email to feedback@thelavaflow.com with a screenshot of you leaving that review. Again, this will have to be done prior to June 1st to be entered in the drawing. The drawing will be done on June 1st, and the winners will be announced on the show after that date. So go to either thelavaflow.com/support or thelavaflow.com/Apple and get your chance to win your free audiobook of Neither Bullets Nor Ballots today. Do it right now, or you run the risk of forgetting to do it and missing out on your chance to get this awesome book with amazing narration by yours truly. Good luck in the contest, guys.
Exercise your free market muscles by going to thelavaflow.com/support and giving a per episode donation of as little as $1 an episode, or use Bitcoin. Get exclusive content, rewards, and help the Lava Flow become fiscally neutral while providing you more content. thelavaflow.com/support.
This is Chris Spangle, and I am the host of We Are Libertarians, which you can find in iTunes, Google Play, or at wearelibertarians.com. We are a podcast that brings you all of the irreverence that modern politics deserves by examining current events from a libertarian perspective. So please, check us out at wearelibertarians.com.
Ask me anything. Roger will answer your questions about, well, anything. Do you have a question for Roger? Email ama@thelavaflow.com or add your question to the latest AMA thread in the Pax Libertas Productions Facebook group.
It's that time again, where I answer a few of your questions. Now, I've already answered all of my current questions from supporters since they get their questions answered first, so this episode I'll be tackling some other questions. Let's jump right into a couple of these. Ben P. asked, what was the turning point from Arkansas chair to a non-voting ANCAP? Honestly, Ben, this is twofold. First, after banging my head against the wall for many years and making no discernible progress towards freedom and liberty using the political method, I was sick and tired of trying. Secondly, a good friend of mine who was an anarchist kept dropping nuggets on me that I couldn't logically refute, and I consider myself a pretty logical person, so when I can't refute the logic of a philosophy, I generally tend to try and learn more about that philosophy. So I soaked up the writings of Murray Rothbard, George H. Smith, and many others, and slowly made the conversion to full voluntarist anarchism. It's been said often that the difference between minarchism and anarchism is 6 months, but for me it was more like 6 years. But once I was there, I was there. That's a long way from my neocon conservative leanings that I was raised on when I was younger, for sure, and it was a long, interesting trip for me. But I'm finally at the last stop on the train. I've reached my destination. Mark Kibler asked, which rifle is best, AR-15, AK-47, or FAL? Wow, I mean, no matter how I answer this, I'm going to piss somebody off. This argument goes back many, many years, but my personal preference is the AR platform because it's what I was most familiar with after my time in ROTC in college. It's a very versatile weapon that can be configured to serve just about any task that a weapon can do. I love my AR. Having said that, if stopping power is your need instead of accuracy, the AK platform is an excellent option. I've fired a lot of AKs, and they are just fun to shoot. And the FAL's an awesome weapon as well, but I would drop all of them in a heartbeat for my AR. That's just my personal preference. However, everyone should have at least one battle rifle on hand in their inventory and become proficient at shooting and maintaining that weapon. Or, hell, for that matter, get all 3 of them. Guys, that's going to do it this week. I've got a few more questions to get to in a couple of weeks, then it will be time for me to ask you guys for some more. Thank you so much for submitting all your questions. Thank you for listening to the show this week. As always, I need to thank my favorite camper, Jessica, for her help with this show. For the show notes to this episode, where I put links and other information that's been on this show, go to thelavaflow.com/89. I have one new supporter this week. Ivan Elm supported the show at the $1 per episode level using Patreon. Thanks so much, Ivan. I appreciate it. Thanks to Ivan and all of my awesome supporters, I'm at $260 per episode, or 52% of the way towards my next goal of $500. Thanks for all your support, guys. Remember, when I hit this next goal, I'm going to be upping the content I bring you from half an hour per week to a full hour. I know that you want more content from me, and I really want to give it to you. So add your pledge today to help me bring you twice the lava flow that you're getting today. So go exercise your free market muscles by going to thelavaflow.com/support and giving a per episode donation of as little as $1 an episode using Federal Reserve notes through Patreon or Bitcoin through Coinbase. I want to be able to bring you more content soon, so make sure to add your donation today to help make that happen. I have a new Apple Podcast review this week. Guest 63904 said, "This show rocks. Finally, someone not afraid to point out the simple voluntarist ideology with manly firmness. Roger Paxton is entertaining and informative. Roger covers news and current events with a humorous flair through his What's Wrestling My Jimmies Today and You Can't Make This Shit Up segments and other infotainment that you won't want to miss." Guest, thank you so much. That is a rocking review. I appreciate it. And if you've got a minute and you want to hear your review on this show, please go to thelavaflow.com/Apple and leave me a rating and a review. All the cool kids are doing it. Thank you to everyone who's left me a rating and a review so far. You guys rock. To all of you who haven't, can you guys help me out and go leave a review for me? Go to thelavaflow.com/Apple to do that now. Until next time, keep striking the root.
Thank you for listening to The Lava Flow at thelavaflow.com. Don't miss an episode. Subscribe now at thelavaflow.com/subscribe. This has been a Pax Libertas Productions podcast.